Hey guys, this is Dan here with Childish Concepts. One of the things that came up last night in a conversation with one of my customers is how do you check valve spring height? And most people don't have a fancy height micrometer or anything that's real special or anything like that. And it's really a very critical item that needs to be checked in any engine that you're putting together, because your valve spring install height is critical to your seat pressure, and seat pressure is going to directly affect how that engine performs on the top end. If you got a cam that's supposed to do 8,500 and 9,500 RPM and it's only doing 7,000 RPM, that's the first thing I'd be checking, right along with carb jetting. But let's get into this valve spring height thing. One of the things that we can look at is when it gets into AKRA type of stuff, there's the 815 block that we use. This is a standard tech item. Whatever. This is great for AKRA, but most of our open builds, we just don't use them. So how do you figure that out? Because it's kind of hard on these little engines. They don't make a special tool. When we look at our dial caliper, you can see I do not like digital calipers. To me, digital calipers are kind of useless because every time you go to use them, their battery's dead. So when we look at our dial caliper, one of the things that people don't look at is this part right here. That can be used as a depth measuring tool. So let's just start with this, because this is kind of a down and dirty, real easy method. So let's take our shredder head here. The first thing you're going to want to do is take a look at this spring pocket. Okay, so we're going to measure this. Look, we just set the end in here, right? We have this coming out here, if you can see it. So that is 110 thousandths. All right. So then we take our 110 thousandths. Let me go get a piece of paper here. So we're going to write this down. 0.110. Pretty much any shredder head is going to be in that 0.110 spring pocket. Okay. So then we're going to come over here and we're going to have, we'll just use this one because it's a great prop. We're going to measure our height off of the top of the retainer to the base. If you can kind of see in there. Okay. So that measurement, in this case, this is all stock shredder head, just to give you an idea of what we do. We got 830 thousandths. Okay, so we're going to write this down, 0.830. Now, you're thinking, well, there we go, we got our install height. No, we don't. So you have to add the 830 plus the 110, okay, because that's your total depth from the top of the retainer to the bottom of the pocket. Okay, so that's going to be 940 thousandths. 940. Okay, but then you're not done. You have to take your retainer, which is right here, and you have to measure the thickness of the retainer. Let's see if I can do this while I'm holding my phone here. Let's see. So you can see our thickness of our retainer is 70 thousandths. Okay, so we have our 70 thousandths. We're going to subtract that from the 940. That turns out to be 870. So 870 thousandths. 70 thousandths minus 940 minus 70 thousandths should be 870 thousandths. Please don't check my math. I'm trying to give you an idea of what's going on here. So our install height, logically speaking, of this stock shredder spring is going to be 870 thousandths tall. So when we start looking at a stock shredder spring, some people say they're 26s, some people say they're 22s. I say they're 22s because typically what we find is at 870 thousandths install height, that's 22 pounds of seat. So hopefully this helps. Like I said, this is a real critical thing to setting up an engine, getting good performance, finding your max performance, and just having a great running piece after you're done. Don't forget, after you're all done, things that are critical is after you got to check out your total lift. You got to check out to make sure that the bottom of your retainer doesn't hit on the top of the guide. That's a real common problem with high lift applications in a shredder. You have to make sure that you don't coil bind at full lift, so double check that. Yeah. So this is one of the reasons why we try to provide you with as much information on our products and our springs. And if you have a question, we like to get back to you with real answers, not just some made-up answers. So give us a little time and we'll try to get you the answer. Thanks for your time. Have a good day.